had to occur, where martial arts had to occur in the United States, right? It started in the black communities and poor communities. You could not teach anything that hard and that strong in Beverly Hills. It's not going to happen.
Well, Bruce Lee started what he did right there in Oakland. I'm from Vallejo, California. So like 20 minutes away from me is where Bruce Lee started his first school. His first student was a brother by the last name of Glover, a brother.
Bruce Lee had a swagger that was not usually attributed to Asian folks, basically. And that's obvious. You see where Bruce Lee got that swagger from. He got it from, being in Oakland. He got it from, hanging out with the folks that he hung out with.
Like the Hennessy. Hey, Shalom, Makim, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Those in the gospel, bro, living at the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. Hey, man, this is just a quick lesson. The brother uploaded, Mighty Man of Moab, or Israelite Foreigner. And I would definitely say this is an Israelite foreigner. Bruce Lee, shit, come on, man, that's Jake all day. It's the way the man move, his finesse, his tenacity, his fighting skills. The fact that they've made movies on him, the fact he's an icon, and usually when you begin to be this big, that's Israelite. I mean, basically that's all Jake. You know what I'm saying? Give me 1 second, brothers. How is this? Salakia. Oops. Salakia, man. I was looking at something on the floor. It looked like some Salakia. But usually when you become icon status like this, I mean, you know, he capitalizes off Jake regardless. So I mean, right there should tell you that definitely Bruce Lee was definitely an Israelite. Okay, I mean, point blank period. I mean, look at his style of dressing. I mean, look at his clothes. I mean, he dresses like a Jake. You know, he's all suave and stuff like that. He doesn't dress like a average Chinese person. Like I've seen Chinamen and you can tell like, nah, these people ain't got it. But Bruce Lee, he had it. Okay, just pay attention. Look at his swag, man. You know, and what are the chances that his first student was an Israelite? And that's why that was a big outcry in the Chinese community when he was out there in the Bay Area when he was teaching, is because for the simple fact he was teaching Jakes. They didn't like that. They was like, how can you teach so-called black people our art, but they don't understand that we invented martial arts, man. Like, in fact, we taught you martial arts because I believe we was enslaved under Moab for, I want to say, 18 years. And also it tells you about how we went east of Israel, which if you look at the ancient map of Israel, which I actually pulled it up here, you got, you know, we had our own land. You got the land of Judah. Okay, the Amalekites was south of us, but then you go over east, which is across the sea here, and you see Moab. So, and mainly in the northern kingdom dwelt among the tents of Moab. So it's easy to say that Bruce Lee was definitely an Israelite. Okay, and I mean, honestly speaking, to me, I mean, he does look Chinese, but to me, he looks more northern kingdom. I mean, it could just be me, but to me, he looks like he can be a Cuban. He looks like almost a Manassite, if you ask me, you know, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. But the fact that, you know, he's the icon of Jake, like, this is my favorite martial artist even to this day. Not because, you know, they broadcasted him, but for whatever reason, when I was a child, my spirit always gravitated towards Bruce Lee. Like, you know, even from his style, I even took up the style of Jeet Kune Do, you know what I'm saying? And I understand it, you know, so it makes a lot of sense. But it's like, even fighting games, every fighting game, they have a particular person modeled after Bruce Lee. Like, you got Mortal Kombat, you have Liu Kang. Street Fighter, you got Fei Long. Tekken, you have Law, all right, which Law is basically a copycat of Bruce Lee. You know, Dead or Alive, you got this man named Jan Lee, and the list goes on. And there's several other Bruce Lee incarnations of this character. Why? Because he was such a great icon. Okay, and even then, it was a picture of him with the beard on his face. I believe let me see. Matter of fact, I'm gonna type it in. Bruce Lee with beard. He had a beard on his face and everything. And he had his quotes, his philosophy. It was main of the scriptures, man. Okay, like he say, be water. Like, it doesn't water, it becomes the cup. You know, those particular spiritual ancient philosophies, it seems like you get them right out of the scriptures, man. Okay, because Yahweh Shai went into the living waters. He said, those that believe on me, as the scriptures say, out of his belly should flow living waters. And Bruce Lee, he embodied that. Okay, now you got the beard on his face. You know, wasn't no China man wearing no beard on his face back in the day. And this is one reason why they killed him too, because for the simple fact, Bruce Lee had a huge impact on the J community, and he went before the board. And it was like, well, look, you're not to teach Chinese martial arts to so-called black people. And he's like, I can teach whatever the fuck I want to teach. Because Bruce Lee had a very special connection with the J community, which proves that he was our people. You know, for anybody that we know them old Israelites, them all black Israelites, they gonna hate this, but that's all good though, because Bruce Lee got more swag and tenacity than you fucking niggas of the Old Testament Israelites. You know, hating on this man because, I mean, he doesn't look like us. So what? You know, and this is just a fake picture, but that's dope though. I can definitely see Bruce with that beard. Like, Bruce was still living today and was still in his young of age, because he'll be like, I believe 70, 80 something today. He'll be an old man. I'm pretty sure in pretty good shape still, but just imagine if Bruce was in his 30s nowadays. I could see him rocking a big beard like that. rocking some J's or some shit. Because I mean, shit, you know, Bruce, he just had it like that, man. All right. And another thing that too that could prove that, in fact, that he may be Israelite, because it says the Moabites. It says at the time of the Israelite conquest of Canaan, it says the land of Moab was occupied by the Moabites, which we know Moabites are the descendants of Lot. Okay, Abraham's nephew Lot. But it says by the Moabites of a patrol nomads closely related to the Israelites, as they were descended from Abraham's nephew Lot. They got the scriptures there you can read. It says the two peoples had a peaceful relationship until King Eglon of Moab attacked Jericho in 1344 BC. It says the two peoples had a peaceful relationship until King Eglon of Moab attacked Jericho in 1344 BC, and the Israelites became subject to Moab for 18 years. So it makes sense when we went east of Jordan, the Moabites' land. So it makes sense that a lot of our people was left behind over there in China. Okay, like I believe Jackie Chan is definitely a Jake. Or Jackie Chan may just be a mighty man of Moab, but now Jackie Chan, in my opinion, I think Jackie Chan is a Jake. I don't think he's a Chinaman or a Gook. Same with Jet Li. I think Jet Li is a Jake too. Okay, that dude Donnie Yen, he's definitely a Jake. The dude that played Ip Man, he played him. Donnie Yen, he's definitely a Jake. Gotta be a Jake, man. And then you know you got your guys out there that you know is Moab, like Samu Hong, he's a Jake. Shit, you know what I'm saying? And like a lot of these players, man, they actually model them after these particular Tekken games. Like, let's look something up real quick. You played, I know brothers are familiar with the game Tekken 7. We're gonna look up martial law. This is definitely Bruce Lee. In fact, it'd be one of my favorite characters in Tekken. But look. I mean, he looked just like him. But why would they model somebody like that that's of lower class? Like, I mean, when you play with Law, he has all Bruce Lee's moves. He has his outfits. He got his battle cries. I mean, everything is like a spin image. You know? And I don't know if they're going to give me a copyright strike, but I want to see something real quick. Let's see what happens here. See what he do. Let's see what he do.
Round one.
So look at his battle stance.
Fight. KO. Round two.
He even got his fighting stands and shit like that. But this guy sucked, man. I mean, he sucks. He's not a Tekken player. But you get the point, you know. They modeled this guy after Bruce Lee, you know. And I mean, the same fighting styles, the battle cries, everything. You know, and this is just a homage to Bruce Lee. I mean, that's just what it is because, you know, that's what they do to Jake. They capitalize off Jake's talent, you know. And after they killed Bruce, which is several stories out there on how he may have died. I heard one account that they, like, I believe he was like in the hospital or something like that. And they like took like this like it's basically like such as, you know, like a jab, and they like just injected him right in his heart and he died. You know, some people say he died from brain tumor, or brain swelling, or back. There's a lot of stories out there, but one account, somebody stated that they literally like injected him in his heart with something and it killed him. Okay, I don't remember where I seen it, but it was like a podcast years ago. Now, if that's true, I don't know, but I definitely know that they murdered him. Okay, so this is the book of Isaiah 16, and I'm gonna start at verses. Let's start verses 3. It says, "Take counsel, execute judgment, and make thy shadow as the night in the midst of the noonday. Hide the outcast, berate not him that wandereth." The outcast is dispersed of Israel. It says, "Let my outcast dwell with thee, Moab." Okay, and that's those of us that was dispersed, because remember, we was dispersed among all the nations. So you got remnants of Israelites in all these countries, even to this day, among Moab, among Ammon, among Esau, among Ham. You got Israelites among Elam. Okay, all these other nations. And then what's so weird about it, these Old Testament guys, they will accept Israelites being among the Hamitic people, ooging and booging and putting plates in their lip, more than they accept an Israelite that was among Moab. Like, if they study the scriptures, they would know that the remnant of our people was left in different parts in various lands. That's not a hard concept to understand. But see, because they're shallow mind, they don't have the spirit. Okay, it's not about how you look, but it's about the spirit, because you can look on the outward appearance and say, oh, this guy ain't an Israelite, but you can tell oh no, this guy's definitely a Jake. Because it's all about the spirit at the end of the day. Because a lot of you guys, man, like you got tares among the wheat, like Yahweh Shai gave the parable. Hey, you got Jake tares out there, like Tia Tamara, what's that little brother, man, this dude, Diana Ross's son. All these guys, man, you know, they look like Israelites, but they're not. But they look like, because like when you go into the Herodian line, it was a period that Herodian looked like an Israelite, man. Okay, because allegedly he had relations, or his parents, his father had relations with the Israelite woman, with a Jake woman. Came out dark skinned and he had the woolly hair, but his spirit was that of an Idumean. So you have those accounts, and that's not a hard concept to understand. It says, "Let my outcast dwell with thee, Moab. Be thou a convert to them from the face of the spoiler, and execution as it end, and spoiler ceases, and the oppressors are consumed out of the land," man. Okay, and that's the point. It says, "Let the outcast dwell with thee." So it makes sense that you're gonna have Chinamen that look like Chinese people that's gonna be among the Manx of Israel. I mean, that's not a hard concept to understand. And on top of that, the guy was extremely talented, man. All right, matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, and verses 21. All right, nah, not 21, Salaki. It is 51 and 20, I believe. Yep, 50 and 51 and 19. It says here, "The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things." He's the former of all things. All things come of Jake, man. Everything, all the adventures, some form of fashion, like a Jake invented the missile guidance system. Jake invented that. Jake invented the stoplight, the cotton gin. Jake invented the first concept of the engine. Jake invented these things, man. The railroad systems, man. You know, and Esau, what he did was capitalize off of it and put a patent on our invention and enslaved us. But Jake is the form of all things. He says, "The portion of Jacob is not like with them. He is the form of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance, and the Lord of hosts is his name." Okay? And we just getting these precepts just to make little points here. This is the book of Matthew 5, and I'm going to start at verses 5, and let's start at verses 15. Nope, 13. It says, "Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savior, wherewith should it be satisfied?" It says, "We're the salt of the earth." I don't give a fuck what dish you make. If you don't add a little salt into it, it's gonna be pointless. Like, you can tell when salt is not added to. You can use spices. You can use particular spices. You can use fucking lemon pepper. You can use basil tomatoes. You can use whatever particular seasonings, you turmeric. But if that salt ain't in there, you gonna know, man. You gonna know, like, wait a minute, this is missing something. Like, I always wonder why when you eat rice and you put the butter in there, then you have the taste, because it has salt in it, man. But cook rice with unsalted butter, it ain't gonna have the same taste. But when they add that little pinch of salt, then, you know, you're like, oh shit, there go the taste. The salt gives us its flavor. It says, "Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savior, wherewith should it be salted?" It said, "It is thenceforth good for nothing to be cast out and to be trodden underfoot." Okay, that's the point. It says, "The salt of the earth." It says, "Ye are the light of the world, in a city that is set on a hill that cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it there under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and give it light unto all that are in thy house," man. Hey, he's the light of the world. Hey, Bruce Lee is still talked about in martial arts community to this day. Like, when you look at his philosophies and his style of Jeet Kune Do, it's the art without fighting. It's basically a style of no style. And if you look at that style and you look at MMA today, it incorporated all those principles of the MMA today, the mixed martial arts. A lot of it come back from what Bruce Lee wrote in his philosophies, man. Okay, about the jiu-jitsu, you know, he incorporated a little Wing Chun and so forth, jiu-jitsu in his teachings and everything. Like when you watch Enter the Dragon, and he was fighting Sammo Hung in that beginning scene, you can tell he was doing a little bit. He put him in an armbar, man, and it was jiu-jitsu. You know what I'm saying? This was in 1973 when that movie came out, which was his final film they shot in America. And when you look at the MMA today or the UFC, they incorporated a lot of the teachings of Bruce Lee's philosophies. You know, which is man, that's, to me, Jeet Kune Do that's like one of the dopest style. And if you pay attention to his stance, when you get low hip, high up guard, and then he got that left hand, he drop it by the hip, and the footwork, you know where he got that from? He got it from Muhammad Ali. He used to watch Muhammad Ali, and he studied his footwork. That's why when Bruce Lee do his Jeet Kune Do, when you get in that low boxing stance, he get that from Muhammad Ali, man. You know? And hey, people say, well, he haven't had any real fights. Bruce Lee had fights. He used to fight on the street all the time. You know, but at that time, it wasn't so much, they didn't have social media to see these things, but you do have accounts that he did have fights and he won his fights. You know, now, damn, I lost my train of thought, but regardless of it, let's go back to the scripture here. It says, ye are the light of the world, a city that is set on a hill that cannot be hid. All right, and like I said, Bruce Lee is a very notable man, period. I mean, they got images of the guy in video games, you know. So you can't take away from our people being great and our people being dispersed among the nation. All right, like I said, he got the beard, man. You know, Jake Moab wasn't wearing no beards in the 70s and shit. And most Moab, I mean, they like Bruce because, you know, he's a hero icon, but they don't reverence Bruce like that because the Moabites know the difference. They're like, nah, this is a nigga right here. He got too much nigga blood in him. Like, nah, this ain't our people. But, you know, they going to reverence him because it brings light to the Chinese community in martial arts. You know, and, you know, Moab, man, they just, I mean, you got mighty men in Moab. We're not going to take away from Moabites. They have mighty men, like it tells you that, one of King David's mighty men slew a primal man of Moab, and it went into him primal, like it was going into his instincts, okay, his movements, his instincts, his tenacity. Primal, like going into the various forms of kung fu, like a lot of the mantis style. Then you got the monkey, then you got the crane, then you got the tiger, then you got the what else? You got drunken boxing. When you look at all these particular martial arts styles, they modeled them after animals, man. They studied the animals. You know, and they called him a primal man of Moab, right? Because he had those instinctive like abilities, man. Probably hopping over walls, leaping over fences, flipping off buildings. You know, that shit is in Jake's spirit, man. Like, shit. I started doing gymnastics when I was like 4 or 5 years old, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, doing martial arts into it, really heavily into it. You know, my daughter followed in my footsteps. She's in gymnastics, doing flips off fucking trees and all that crazy shit. This is genetics is just something else, you know, but she's not necessarily into the martial arts, and I wouldn't let her get into that because she's a little girl. Gymnastics is right up her alley, you know, that's something that she can incorporate her talents, but the fighting aspect of it, that went to me because, you know, my father and his father, they was all warriors anyway, and that just in our spirit. You know, every day I was out there practicing this shit, you know, like to the point that like, damn, nigga, you still do it? I'm like, yeah, I practice a little here and there. Not as much as I need to, you know, but I've been kind of suffering from like this foot nerve injury for about a month or so, and it's been kind of having adverse effects on my body, so I'm trying to heal up. But regardless of that, man, you know, Lord's will, we get that spiritual power, man, we just gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Definitely just gonna do it. Because these bodies, man, fuck you up if you ain't too careful on it. They're very fragile. All right, one last precept. This is the book of Revelation, the 7th chapter. And I'm going to start at verses, Revelation 7, and I'm going to start at verses 9. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, okay, kindreds and peoples and tongues, stood before the throne, before the Lamb, clothed in white robes and palms in their hands, okay? And that's the whole point. That's that great multitude. It says from all nations, meaning you go into that word nation, it goes into ethnos, which means the tribes, because we were called out of all the kingdoms of the planet Earth. So it makes sense you're going to have like my man Tony Jaa. He's definitely a Jake. You know, the man that played Umbach, he's definitely a Jake. Okay, but those men like that, they're going to be called. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be saved, but we have people like that among those nations. Like Tony Jaa, he's of a darker skin color. You know what I'm saying? And Bruce Lee, I mean, shit, he has pigment. I mean, he's just a light-skinned Moabite. He looks like Moab, but he's not. He's just a light-skinned Jake, man, so to speak. He got light-skinned Jakes out there. I mean, he don't look like a white boy, clearly. I mean, he's like my complexion, if you honestly speak. He just look like a light-skinned Jake, for real. You know, now with Moabite features, of course. But regardless of that, he has pigment. He tans. But according to some guys, oh, man, that ain't no Israelite, man. Whatever, man. You niggas ain't Israelites. Fucking goofies, man. Y'all yet to debunk the doctrine. And cried out with a loud voice, salvation to our power which sitteth upon the throne and to the Lamb. Okay? So, anyway, quick lesson, giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And with that, shalom and a ball. Shalom.